Today I'm going to give you some DIY tips of things you can do in-house to move your customers online. One thing that I've seen over the years is that we've spent millions of dollars building these fully functional e-commerce platforms, and the customers continue to do business as usual. They continue to call, they continue to stop by the branches, they continue to send emails. And the big question is, well, why don't they use this great website? Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons why they don't, and I'll start to address those and give you some helpful tips on how you can start migrating them online. It all starts in-house. You have to get your comp plans correct and in line with your goals, so everyone needs to be rowing in the same direction. The first thing you need to do is eliminate your order writer commission. If your inside sales team is getting paid to write orders that come in through the phone or through email, and they're not getting paid when orders go online, well, they're going to not only be not supporting it, they're going to be telling customers it's a bad idea to use the website because they're going to lose their jobs. You're going to want to ensure that your commissioned outside salesmen are getting paid on orders regardless of channel. And implementing a commission for your inside team, so then base that on net profit for their assigned accounts. So still give them some incentive. You want to give them incentive to promote and support the website so that they can see some additional commission if their customers go online. Now, what about those, your inside team, your counter guys, sometimes they are managing a ton of house accounts that it's pretty hard to tie those house accounts directly back to them to commission them. So the idea is to bonus the entire team. What I've implemented is by branch for all of their house accounts, giving them a commission on net profit for all the house accounts for online orders that are placed tied to that branch. I've also implemented some kind of rewards where they get some branch luxuries when their house accounts order online and they hit certain goals like an espresso machine or a night out at a ball game. Employee perception is key here. So if you're not out there telling employees that this is a good thing and encouraging them to be promoting and selling your website to your customers, they're not. The employees need to know that they're safe and they're not going to lose their jobs. And that's a fear that I've heard over and over again of why the teams are not promoting e-commerce. So it's going to require you using your muscle from your C-level, from your management teams, your leadership teams, and encouraging and ensuring that your employees are not going to lose their jobs by promoting your website. Training, foundational. Without training, how are these guys in your company going to promote and support your website? So these are just some ideas of, at a minimum, you should have these to give them the right tools so that they can support your site. So computer-based training, make it required. Make sure it is part of your new hire onboarding, that any new hires have to go through website training. Keep the training fresh throughout their tenure with you by sending out on a periodic basis short videos. These don't need to be anything fancy. You can use a tool like Loom or like a tool like Zoom and record yourself kind of just going through a feature. 30-second videos that you can share on a regular basis will go a long way. They'll also be able to forward that on to their customers. Town halls, so anytime you're speaking to the entire company or to groups, make sure that you're promoting and training folks, telling them about the features and how the site works. Webinars, FAQs. I've printed for my teams FAQs on one-pagers laminated them, and distributed them. Give them something that they can tack up, by the counter on their cube wall in their office. Quick reference for them to be able to answer customers' questions and flyers. So we as people don't really love buying and we don't have relationships with companies as much as we do people. So use that to your advantage and give your employees visibility on the website, putting their contact info, putting their photos. The more sophisticated platforms will actually, when a customer arrives at the site and gets signed in, they will then see a photo and contact info of their assigned salesman, their outside guy, or it could be, someone the branch manager. So give them visibility so they think and they know they're buying still from these folks. That hasn't changed. Just the mechanism to place the orders have changed. Additionally, give your employees visibility of your customers. So I do this with automatically CCing them on any registration emails that go to customers when they register their accounts and order confirmations. It helps to keep the salesman in the loop of what's going on with their customers. I highly recommend building out a salesman's dashboard. And you can do this in your marketing automation software, and there's some other options or manually. But give your salesmen, we're kind of converting them from just being order takers to being more active and doing more outbound. So give them a dashboard of who they should call every day, because don't expect that they're just going to pick up the phone, especially your inside team. So do that. You can use a tool like Construction Connect. There's plenty of places to get new contracts, licenses, permits, and you can queue these up for your inside team to call these customers. Also, any customers that are going dormant, where you've seen some sales decrease, that would be a good thing to queue up for your salesmen to reach out. And you can automate emails to the customers to kind of coincide with these phone calls. So if you're seeing a customer going dormant, start to send them emails to try to bring them back. At the same time, they'll have someone reaching out to them. So it's good to have as many drips as you can. Internal marketing, continuing on that same notion of getting people aware of what you have going on with your site. Constant emails to the company is always a good thing. I recommend at least once a month, you're letting people know that there's new releases, new features, big wins by customers, feedback you're getting from customers. In those emails, I highly recommend embedding those short videos to announce new features. Use your stores and your offices to promote whatever's going on with the website, whatever's changing. Too often the development team, the marketing team, they're the only ones that know what's changing, and then customers get surprised about it. So get your internal team, the whole company, in the loop with what's changing and what's new. And I highly recommend, and this is a bit more of a fun thing to do, but it helps to encourage people to really get in depth and get to know how to use your website for your internal team. And you can hide Easter eggs. Just give them little quizzes, and you can offer them prizes to go and find, a certain, get them to play with your search to go and find something on a product detail page that you can bury there for this little exercise, but it'll get them using your search, for example. One of the biggest mistakes I made when I first rolled out the Crescent Electric website, it was their first e-commerce site, is that I did it blind. And I didn't really know what my customers needed or wanted. And this was now, this was over 10 years ago. I learned very quickly that the customers were not going to use the system because I wasn't delivering the features and functionality that they needed. So this is critical for those of you that have already built your platforms. It's not too late. You should be getting ongoing feedback from customers. It doesn't need to be formal focus group type settings. It could, I spent hours and hours just picking up the phone and calling customers at random and asking them, how do you like the site? What's working for you? What are we missing? Just getting that feedback. Then if you want to more formalize it a little bit more, pick some of your key customers that are important to you and put them on a steering committee. Offer them some sort of swag to be a part of that steering committee and host meetings quarterly just to get their feedback and to roll out new features, to tell them what you have in the roadmap, and just make sure you stay lockstep with your customers. Because if not, you're building and spending money on building a system for no one. Net Promoter Survey, this is table stakes and that each one of you guys should be doing. And it's a survey just asking your customers, would they recommend you to a friend? And you get a score. And this score is something that you should be tracking on your dashboard as one of your key KPIs that you can look month over month. Are customers happy or are they not satisfied? Search engine tuning, one of the easiest things to do and one of the most overlooked. Most of us build a website, you plug in a search tool or you use what comes on board and never look at search again. Well, that's crazy. So this is so easy. Using your search on-site search engine or a Google Analytics, you can identify what searches are not working, where they're getting to a no search results found page, or you can identify where they're searching for products and not converting. Those are so easy to fix by adding aliases, by adding the right content through your PIM, your product information system, to have the right content so people can find that in search, adding jump words, or boosting and burying search results based on what you want customers to see when they search certain terms. Marketing automation. Many of you, if not all, have some sort of email marketing, email service provider, or a more sophisticated marketing automation platform. This is the best way to keep customers educated on not only what your website has going for it, but what are your differentiators? What are your value-added services? Many of you sell the same products in the same markets. So it's all about differentiating yourself. And if your customers don't know about that differentiation, then you're not going to be favored as their preferred supplier. So I typically build out 3 types of campaigns. One is when customers come in or when they're before their customers, when they're leads or prospects, I'll put them in a nurturing campaign. For my everyday customers, I'll have another campaign where I'm dripping to them and nurturing them. And then anyone going dormant, same thing. I recommend, 5 to 6 emails in each of these campaigns. You can drip them out over months, weeks, whatever your preference is. But keeping fresh and having that automated where you don't have to think about it is a good way to just dripping, information about your company, your value adds, your differentiators, your website features. With those emails, I highly recommend embedding short videos. These need to be super simple. Our attention spans are in the seconds, especially when it comes to email. So as few words as possible. If you have more than a sentence of text in an email, it's probably overkill. But make sure to know if it's overkill, you should be regularly, at least monthly, reviewing your open rates on your emails. And when people aren't opening your emails, A/B testing different subject lines. And when they are opening your emails, you should be then reviewing your click-through rates. And if they're not clicking through, then you have a problem with your content. So keeping a constant overview of those KPIs is critical. So let's take a step back and talk about, why did we build these websites in the first place? Why do we have e-commerce for our customers? Well, I can tell you right now that, and I've measured this through multiple billion-dollar distributors, that customers are spending more money when they utilize e-commerce as an additional channel. So they spend 11% more, and that's a number that was pretty static throughout measuring for about 10 years. And that's not necessarily that they're spending more online. It's just they're spending more online and offline. So I tracked customers that had a web account and they logged into it. They used it to either check their order status, to search for products, to grab cut sheets, to place orders, whatever. But they at least used e-commerce, and overall their spend every year is 11%, increases at an 11% higher clip than all the other customers. So having a good platform that has the features and functionality that your customers need is important, and making sure they know about it and getting them signed up. It's a no-brainer. They're going to spend more money. So how do we encourage customers to utilize our e-commerce? Well, I've done it. I've approached it with 3 different strategies that all have worked in different scenarios. One is just giving customers straight out discounts to use the site. Any orders placed online, you get 5% off, whatever that might be, whatever works for you. But there is an absolute cost for an inside guy or a counter guy to write an order. So if they're not having to write that order, there's some money there to kick back to the customers, and that could be very appealing depending on that customer's size. Next, I've used rebate programs, where after a period of time, for all of your web transactions, I would send them a check for a percentage of what they spent online. That does well to encourage people to move online. And the final approach I've taken is rewards programs. And these rewards programs can be as simple as just, you spend X, you're going to get a Yeti cooler or a tumbler. But there's a ton of platforms that I've worked with that for every $1 they spent, they get a point, and they can redeem those points for branded swag or other gifts. And it all depends on the customer type. For the customers that are owners and are the C-level, the discounts and the rebates typically will work better for them. For the customers that are the purchasing agents, the folks that are, maybe they're the contractor themselves, they may not be as incentivized, if this isn't their company, to get rebates or discounts. They're all about ease of use. So offering them some swag could migrate them pretty easily to spending more with you. Market pricing. This is a lead gen technique. There's a bunch of tools out there that I recommend using, but for your suppliers, for your vendors that do not have MAP, manufactured advertised price, that you have to abide by, I've employed this technique now at a few distributors, where I've gone out and looked at my competitors and automated grabbing their pricing for the products that they have in stock, and adjusting my pricing to be at a market level without going too low where there's no margin there that would make sense. So keep that in mind. But you can automate all this, and there's a bunch of tools that will make it really easy to do on your own. And then load those prices to your website. And ideally, your website is pushing your product feeds out to Google Shopping, to Bing Shopping, to comparison shopping engines like Octopart, for example. to marketplaces. And that just gives you a ton of exposure. You're out there on your site and in all these other sites with a market price, which can help to drive new customers to your site with competitive pricing. These now are just a bunch of features that over the years I've identified as table stakes in order to get your B2B, your contractor customers, your your OEMs to use your website. So one is add to cart from the type ahead. So typically when a customer is coming to your site, they're ordering not just one SKU. So doing a search and having to search 20 different products and adding those to the cart just is tedious as heck. So make that process easier. When they start typing ahead, when they start typing a search, show them the type ahead and give them the option when they see the product they want to add it to cart right there. Like they're never leaving the search box is what I'm saying. Give them in your top nav, make it a mega menu and show thumbnails. Just make it easy to find the categories they're looking for. Majority of customers will search versus going through your catalog or your taxonomy. So just make that the folks that do navigate to the categories and to the product lines they want, make that easy. A bulk order pad is table stakes. You absolutely need it where they can type in the product they're looking for, the quantity, and continue on to the next line. I have sat with folks that use that, purchasing agents typically, and I can see that they get annoyed to use the mouse. So make sure that's all tab friendly where they can just tab, tab, tab and not have to touch the mouse. It just makes it so much faster for them. A bulk order upload is very important. Usually your customers are having to create a PO in their system and they don't want to recreate that PO on your e-commerce platform. But it's typically easy for them to export from their platform like a CSV that they can then come to your site and upload. So that would make that transition over to your site much easier. Barcode scanning has been a really helpful tool for the apps that I've built so that they can do their own inventory management at a very rudimentary level. A full featured inventory management system where they can set mins and maxes, that's ideal, but at a minimum, just giving them the ability to scan barcodes and bring up the products so that they can easily reorder is a no-brainer. Product assortment pages are kind of a unique animal out there that I created for USESI. And all the USESI sites have the ability to shop by list. And these lists are not customer shopping lists. These are preset lists that we as a company created. So the whole assortment concept is that when someone comes to your site to shop, they're usually looking to buy all the products for a job. And when they're buying all the products for a job, those are all, spread out across different categories. So it's like, why do we only have these catalogs organized by category? Why don't we have them by application? So, they're doing a 200 amp resi service entrance job. Give them a list of everything they would need for that job. They can come in there and just go down the list and say, yeah, give me, 100 feet of PVC conduit, give me, the same in aluminum service entrance cable and single meter sockets and grounding rods and conduit lock nuts, and just let them go down the list, because like that application right there has like 15 different products that the customer will typically need for that job. So just make it easy. So one sheet, they can see pricing, inventory, and just go down the list and add all those to cart in one fell swoop. Giving your customer the ability to create their own shopping list, that's a no-brainer. Custom catalog is another unique animal that I highly recommend. And this is where you take all of your, for a customer, all of their offline transactional data, everything they've ever purchased, and then everything they've ever purchased online, and then anything they put in a shopping list, put it all on one page on your website where they can just go down the list of things they've already either favorited or purchased. And they can just, again, identify quantities and add to cart in one fell swoop. And then provide the ability to search within. So they're not having to use your main search box to then search the whole catalog. They're just searching their custom catalog. Game-changing feature. And as you know, a lot of our customers need to request quotes and get quotes before they order. So giving them the ability to do that online gets them more, gets them more acquainted with the website and encourages them to use the website where they can build a quote cart, send that in to your sales team, have your sales team adjust it as needed, send it back, and then give your customer the ability to convert that quote into an order. And making ordering easy is mission critical. So having your website tied to your ERP, so addresses are pre-filled, giving them support for their credit terms. That's table stakes so that they can, order on their credit with you or use credit card. Giving them the ability to upload and use tax exemption certs, save credit cards, and giving them delivery times for their orders, like order by 4 a.m. delivery. And also I've implemented the ability to order online and pick up in store, similar to what you'd see at a Starbucks or a Panera. Just make it easy so that they can just, on the job site, putting an order in on their phone, drive on over. They don't need to talk to anyone. They just grab their order from the shelf. Customer service. So another key area that we need to make sure we're supporting everything web. And I typically do that through email support, phone support, text message support, and live chat. Also, you'll want to provide a knowledge base so that they don't necessarily need to use customer service and that they can answer their own questions through a searchable knowledge base. It's your FAQs that we already were talking about. You probably already have them. Just make those FAQs, put them off in a separate part of the site that can be searchable. And chatbot is a great thing to use to kind of head people off at the pass when they start a live chat. Based on their question, there's a ton of tools out there like Talk To, for example, that you can plug into your site. It's so easy to use. And based on their question, the chat bot will attempt to answer the question. You probably see these on like Amazon when you're trying to chat with them. And just try to get customers answers quickly. And if that doesn't work, then give them the ability to talk to a rep. And that wraps up my presentation. Happy to answer questions. And here's all my contact info if you'd like to discuss any of these topics with me after the fact. But yeah, please ask me questions, and happy to do my best to answer them.
Thank you, Mike. This is Kelly from IMARK, and I wanted to thank you for your presentation. It was extremely informative. I do have a couple of questions for you. One would be, our members all have very different needs. So would they be able to contact you and have you review maybe, their current site, and where you and your team could then suggest appropriate improvements, or how you all could work together and what you could do to get them to the next level? How does that work?
Yeah, all of our engagements are custom. So it all starts with a kickoff meeting. We gather information. We identify what your KPIs are, what's important to you, what's working, what's not, what your goals are. And all of our engagements, we're building out custom roadmaps These are tactical, and they're sorted by ROI with our estimates. And that's how we engage. We engage with blocks of hours to help customers with full service marketing, from just quickly a full creative team, SEO and technical content writing, and lead gen. But yeah, just before we even get to that engagement, I'm more than happy to get on calls and offer free consultations to start going through where your challenges are, where your opportunities are, and start to build kind of a rough roadmap just on a quick conversation. So yes, please reach out to me, and I'd be happy to get some time scheduled with you, and we can start to identify opportunities.
Okay, fantastic. Another question would be, how would you handle the pricing matrix with the current unpredictable market with commodities, et cetera? Any suggestions as to how something like that gets handled?
Well, when your customers are logged into your website, they should be seeing their adjusted, their discounted pricing. So it should be feeding directly from your ERP. Now, when we're talking about list price or whatever your market price you're setting, you need to be competitive. You don't want to drop it. If there's a map, you want to make sure you're abiding by map. And you also don't want to undercut any of your current customers. So in an ideal world, you kind of want to build an algorithm, and you don't need to do this yourself. There's tools out there you can plug in to do it for you. To set a competitive market price that you're still happy with your margin, that doesn't undercut your current customer base, that will help to attract new customers to your website. Most of us, our websites, we set a list price and it just never changes, or we're updating it through a feed from a manufacturer and it's not competitive. And you have the smaller mom and pops who are kind of being a little smarter about things and going out and changing that pricing to be competitive and feeding it into the comparison shopping engines in the marketplaces. And that's helping to grow their business. So it's critical for you to have a market price on your site.
All
Hopefully I
right.
answered that question.
Yeah, no, thank you. To remind everybody, because I'm getting asked this as well, we are going to get a copy of Mike's presentation, and we will be putting this PDF up on the IMARK website along with a recording of the presentation as well. So we can reach out to you, so people can get back to you and certainly forward your information on along to the rest of their teams. And we have one more question that is coming in, and it is, what would you say is the biggest reason as to why customers still seem to buy in store or in person rather than through a company website?
Yeah, that's a great question. They do it. It's multiple reasons. It's kind of things I went over today, but it's either your employees aren't supporting it, they're not talking about it, you don't have any in your stores, you don't have any mention of it. And then if your employees are supporting it, that's only 50% of what you need to accomplish. The other 50% is incentivizing your customers. So you do that through making their lives easier, having all that features and functionality to save them time, and then also monetarily, giving them some incentives through discounts, rebates, rewards programs to use your electronic tools. But you really need to give them reason, and everyone needs to be backing it. And all too often, the first part where your employees aren't supporting it, that's usually the part that's going to break it. And I over and over again, I traveled extensively with Crescent and USCSI. I've visited over 200 branch locations and talked to customers at all of those. And I talked to a ton of counter guys and inside guys. And the number one reason is they're fearful. is what it comes down to, that they're going to lose their jobs. So if they have any kind of consternation that they're going to be out of work, oh, they're definitely not going to be supporting it. So they need to be getting paid more when customers are using your website, and they need to be like guaranteed that if their manual order writing has decreased, but their customers are now ordering online, that they're not going to get penalized. They're getting rewarded for that. That's the biggest gap that you're going to have to get over.
All right. Well, thank you, Mike. These are all great points. On behalf of IMARK, I want to say thank you. We appreciate your partnership and your time today.
My pleasure.
And we look forward to a nice continued relationship with you.
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time today.
Okay, this webinar has now ended. Thank you.